Over dinner, my wife told me she loved someone else. I said nothing. Vanished that night, and took the $70K I gave her for her startup and the dream home she thought was hers. I'm 35, a software engineer by trade. I make a good living, my credit's solid, and while I'm not into flashy stuff, I've always believed in being ready for anything, financially, emotionally, and in every other way that matters. My wife Tessa is 29. We met when she was working retail while finishing up her fashion degree. What really hooked me wasn't just her looks, it was her ambition. She had this energy, a spark, and a real belief that she could build her own fashion brand from the ground up. I admired that drive, enough to stand behind her and help however I could. We were together for 6 years, married for 4 of them. In that time, I helped her pay off her student loans, covered several months of rent when money was tight, and eventually invested around $70,000 into her startup. She dreamed big, and I wanted to believe in those dreams right along with her. She didn't manipulate me into it, not in the beginning anyway. She was just full of hope and terrible with numbers. I was the practical one, the planner. She was all creativity and forward momentum, so I stayed in the background, handling all the day-to-day stuff, our bills, taxes, insurance, credit, while she focused on growing her brand. It felt like we made a good team. At least that's what I thought. Then about a year ago, she started talking about buying a house. She found one she loved. Modern, huge windows, nice neighborhood, easy commute for both of us. But she wanted it in her name. She said, "I just want to own something that's mine." I wasn't offended. She called it symbolic, and I get symbolism, but I also believe in covering your bases, so I made sure the loan was in both our names, with the right legal protections for me, just in case, quietly, not because I didn't trust her, but because I've never been the type to leap without a parachute. About 6 months ago though, things started to shift. It was gradual at first, more work events than usual. Then came the weekend girls' trips, odd departure times, late returns. New clothes I never saw her wear around me. Texts she tilted away from my line of sight. I didn't push. I've never been the jealous type, but I noticed. She grew short with me over little things, forgot our inside jokes. We rarely ate together anymore. Sex, just a couple times over the last 3 months, and even that felt distant, like her body was there, but her mind wasn't. We didn't fight, there were no dramatic blow-ups, just this slow growing gap between us that I wasn't invited to cross. Then one night, we were eating dinner, just leftovers, Thai food, TV humming in the background. Out of nowhere, she set her fork down and said, like it was nothing, "I'm in love with someone else." I didn't even look up at first, just finished chewing, took a sip of water, and then looked her in the eye. She wasn't crying, no anger. She looked unburdened, like saying it had taken a weight off her chest. "All right," I said. She flinched. That definitely wasn't what she was expecting. She probably thought there'd be yelling, tears, accusations, but I just nodded, stood up, and started clearing the plates. She sat there for a bit, clearly unsure how to respond. Then she said maybe she should stay at a friend's for a while. I told her that was fine. What she didn't know was, I already knew. I'd seen messages weeks earlier when she left her laptop open. Some guy she'd met at a photography workshop the previous fall. She told him he was a rare soul, that he really sees her. I didn't react then. I'm not the explosive type. I bide my time. So that night, after she walked out with her overnight bag, I sat down at my desk and opened every account we had together. That's when the real story began. The house was quiet, just me, the sound of the kitchen clock ticking, and my laptop screen lighting up the room. I started with the mortgage. We hadn't signed the final documents yet, but I'd co-signed the application, which gave it weight. One phone call the next morning, and I pulled my name. No drama, no resistance. I simply told the broker our relationship status had changed. They got it. Without my backing, Lena didn't qualify. Her income was too up and down, and her credit was still recovering from years of scraping by. By lunchtime, the pre-approval was gone. Next up, the startup money. I'd had a contract drawn up when I first agreed to invest. It gave me the right to pull out any time before we were legally married. She never read past the first paragraph when she signed it. That night, I activated the clause, notified the payment processor and her vendors. Within 24 hours, the money was back in my account. Nothing shady, just legal and clean. Her suppliers, they hit pause. Orders cancelled. Production froze. Then I logged into my company's benefits portal. Lenie had been listed on my health insurance as a domestic partner. Since we never filed the marriage certificate, she was still under that status. I removed her. The change went through immediately. I didn't do any of it out of anger. Truth is, I didn't even feel angry. I felt clear, like I was finally stepping out of a fog I hadn't realized was there until it lifted. By the second night, one of her friends messaged me, asking if I'd heard from her. I said yes. We'd spoken briefly. That was true. I didn't add anything else. By the third day I was gone. I packed a bag, changed my mailing address to a P.O. box and left. No door slamming, no dramatic goodbye, no notes taped to the mirror. I just quietly booked a short-term rental across town and set up my remote work setup over there. She'd always said she needed space to figure herself out. Well, now she had exactly that. That same afternoon, my phone rang. The number wasn't familiar, so I let it go to voicemail. Later, I played the message. It was him, the photographer. His voice was shaky, like he was trying not to sound panicked. He said things were moving too fast, that she was unraveling, crying non-stop, blaming him for ruining her life. He asked if I could talk to her, maybe help her calm down, or at least let her stay with me until she got back on her feet. I didn't answer. That evening, she came by the old place. I still had the doorbell camera running. She stood outside in one of my hoodies, the one she always wore when we went for coffee on lazy Sunday mornings. She was crying, hard. Eventually she left. A few hours later, I got a message. It was short. I made a mistake. Then another one. I thought I wanted something different, but he's not who I thought he was. He laughed at my business, said it was silly. He mocked my mood board. Another text followed. Please talk to me. We can work this out. I miss you. But there wasn't anything to work out. Not anymore. The next morning she tried calling. Then again. Then from her mum's number. I didn't answer any of them. A little later, I received an email. It was long, full of apologies, explanations, and last-minute revelations. She wrote that she never meant to fall for someone else, that she got confused, that she always thought I'd still be there while she figured things out. She missed our routines, she said, the way I remembered how she liked her eggs, the way I folded her laundry just the way she liked, grocery runs, Sunday mornings. It's funny what people start to value when their plan B turns out to be nothing more than a daydream. But this wasn't just about her cheating, it was about everything that came before that. The quiet distance, the months of me reaching for something that was already gone, the fact that while I was still all in, building a life with her, she was out there trying someone else on for size. That house she wanted so badly, gone. Once I pulled my name off the application, the lender shut it down. Without my income and credit, she didn't qualify. The file was flagged and rejected as unworkable for a single applicant. She didn't even know yet. As for her startup, it was crumbling fast. Once I withdrew my funding, vendors stopped replying. Her manufacturer pulled the next production run. One supplier even sent her a warning about being a high non-payment risk. Everything started falling apart, one piece after another. She didn't have a full-time job with benefits, no emergency fund. Every penny she had went back into the business, and now she didn't even have health insurance. She'd been on mine, that was gone too. And me, I wasn't mad, not even heartbroken, just done. I'd given so much financially, emotionally, mentally. I was the support beam she assumed would never budge, no matter how much she piled on. But when the house deal officially fell apart, she came back, again. I didn't answer the door, but I could hear her outside, crying, yelling, then just sitting on the steps. She stayed there for nearly an hour before leaving. Later that night, I got another message. You're trying to ruin my life. I read it once, then to no one in particular. I said it out loud. I'm not ruining your life. I just stopped paying for the version of it where I was disposable. She reached out to mutual friends. Some of them called me. I told them the truth. No dramatics, just what actually happened. A few were stunned. Others admitted they'd seen signs. A week later, one of them forwarded me an email from her former business partner. The startup was officially dead. Vendors had walked. Orders were cancelled. No investor wanted to touch it after seeing the mess. 2 months after that, I heard she'd moved back in with her parents. No big announcement, no teary social media post. She just quietly disappeared. And me, I kept going. I moved into a smaller place, got a dog, started hiking more. I never talked about her online, never trashed her name. I didn't want revenge. I didn't need it. All I really wanted was to stop pretending I was okay being someone's emotional backup plan while they chased whatever shiny thing came next. Some people say I handled it cold, maybe, but when someone ends a relationship and still expects you to hold the rope in case they fall, sometimes the kindest thing you can do